Welcome back to our channel, or welcome if you're a new viewer. I had a request to do a video about Fairy's story and her background, so I'm going to talk about her racing days and how I adopted her. Fairy was racing for about 6 months between November 2021 and when she retired in June 2022. Fairy's racing name was Bluebell Martha, and in this clip she is number 5. I found this video on YouTube, and this was her very last race before she retired. It absolutely breaks my heart watching her doing this. I really don't like watching her race, and I think that this race, in which you see her having a collision on the corner with another dog, is probably what ended her racing career and injured her. So Fairy is number 5 in the orange bib, Bluebell Martha. You can see number 5 gate. She races out of the gate. She's right up there in front. And then here on this bend, she gets taken out by another dog and pushed across and off the side of the track. She ended up 5th in this race, but ultimately this was her last race, which ended her career. So as soon as greyhounds injure themselves, they're no longer useful and they are sent to the rehoming centres. So Fairy ended up at Clark's Farm Rehoming Centre, which is in Malden in Essex. And I had been wanting a greyhound for a while, so I had a look on their website and I looked through the different dogs that were available. And Fairy's advert came up, and she sounded perfect in her description. She was only 2 years old, a few months off her 3rd birthday, and she had been in the rehoming centre only 2 weeks before I adopted her. So she was one of the lucky ones. So this is a clip of Fairy in the rehoming centre on the day that I went to meet her. And I took her out for a walk just opposite the rehoming centre in the stubble field. This was in August, so it was very hot. We couldn't take her very far. You can see her panting. The dogs always wear muzzles. You can see how skinny she is. You can see her spine protruding. You can see the 2 pin bones sticking up at the back. And she had some marks on her eyes where I think she'd been trying to rub her muzzle off.
Hey guys, so this is Fairy, a brand new dog, and we are going to be walking her today. We just got her. We're not taking her home yet until Friday, because we have to walk her for a week, and then we're going to be taking her home. My friend Emily's got a greyhound called Billy, and hopefully they'll make friends when they go on walks together. So yeah. So she's very excited. She wants to take her muzzle off, but this is a muzzle. But when we get back, it's where we met her. We're gonna take her muzzle off and be able to stroke her. So it's very exciting, isn't it, baby? Yes. Yeah. Have your first hug. I love hugs. Snuggles.
So that's my daughter talking about Fairy, and we took her for her first walk, and we walked her a few times over the course of a week to get her used to us so that she would know us and recognise us before we took her home. The greyhounds all have to wear muzzles, and the rules are that you keep the muzzle on for a few weeks until you get to know the dog and make sure the dog is friendly around other animals and children, and that they're safe to be walking without the muzzle. So on each of our visits, we spent some time with Fairy out of her kennel. We gave her lots of treats and fuss and tried to bond with her. We chose Fairy because she was so calm, laid back, gentle, and very, very well behaved. And because she was going to be a school therapy dog, I needed a dog that wasn't going to jump up and be in your face, and was very good with children. Fairy's name was chosen by the rescue kennels, and they called her Fairy because her name was Bluebell Martha, but they already had another dog called Bluebell. So they wanted a name that was related to bluebells, and bluebells grow in the woods, and fairies live in the woods. So they called her Fairy, and we decided to keep that name. This is Fairy's first day at home. When we first got her home, she went out into the garden and was very interested in next door. You can see here just how skinny she is, with all her pin bones, hip bones sticking up. And you can see her hairy kennel coat, which she hadn't shed yet. She had some beds dotted around the lounge. It was a warm day, being August, and as you can see, Fairy's panting a lot. She panted a lot for the first few weeks, and I think that was from stress of being in a new environment, as well as it being hot. And it did take Fairy a good few weeks to really settle in and feel comfortable at home in her new surroundings. Racing greyhounds live in outdoor concrete kennels, so being in a home is completely new to them. They've never been in houses before, they've never seen hoovers, televisions. I wouldn't imagine they have a great variety of toys. So this was all brand new to Fairy, and it was important to let her settle in and really take her time and let her be comfortable in her new environment. Fairy loved squeaky toys. She got a lot of new squeaky toys when we first got her, and you can see here she's having great fun with them. A lot of people have said that I spoil Fairy, but I don't think there's any such thing as spoiling a dog, especially not a rescue dog. I think they deserve to be spoilt. They deserve for you to give them the best possible life that you can. And I do make sure that I give Fairy the best possible life. So I buy her the best food that I can afford. I buy her as many toys as I can afford. And I make sure that I am treating her and caring for her in the best possible way. Animals are a priority to me, and I always put their needs first. I think that's really important. They rely on you to take care of them, so you need to make sure that you do meet their needs. I absolutely love animals. I've had a lot of animals. I've had horses, cats, rabbits, rats. I've got rats at the moment, and I spoil all my animals or look after them well. Fairy's my first dog, so I'm not an expert on dogs or training dogs, but I am confident that even if I don't know everything about dogs, I will look it up, I'll find out, and I will make sure that Fairy is getting the best possible life that I can give her. I've now had Fairy for almost a year and a half, and it took her, I'd say, a good 6 months to a year to really come out of herself, develop her character, and show me what her personality really is like. It took her a long time to settle and feel comfortable, but now she's a very cuddly, affectionate dog, having started off quite timid and shy and in sort of inward rather than outgoing. This is Fairy on one of her first walks in the woods. She's still wearing her muzzle. She's walking in her school therapy dog harness, and she also has a fishtail collar on with a connector lead. The first few weeks, Fairy wore her muzzle so that we could see how she interacted with other dogs on walks. And from the start, Fairy was very friendly. Any other dogs that we approached or that approached her, she would just sniff them and say hello to them nicely. After she had settled in, Fairy started coming to school with me and started training as a school therapy dog. She spent nearly a year coming into school but not working with the children until she had passed her assessment. Fairy loves coming into school and playing with her toys in the classroom before the children arrive. There we go. This is not an aggressive growl, this is Fairy growling in a playful way because she is excited. Fairy now enjoys regular camping trips, weekends or weeks away, where we sleep in my cosy camper van. Fairy sleeps in the back with me on the double bed in her pyjamas, and she goes on amazing adventures now. Greyhounds do love to run, but I don't think they love to race. And here is Fairy just loving the freedom of running on a beach. This was her first time on the beach and she absolutely loved it. Just running for the sake of running and enjoying running without being made to race and be at risk of colliding with other dogs and injuring herself. It makes me so happy and I get so much enjoyment from taking Fairy to the beach and watching her have such an amazing time running free. Fairy gets a diet of freshly cooked meat, chicken breasts, mince, steak, fresh fish, and she gets very healthy natural treats. And here she is eating a big rabbit chew, natural hairy rabbit chew, which she absolutely loves. Some people don't allow their dogs on the sofa, but I think Fairy is one of the family and Fairy now owns the sofa. Fairy takes up most of the sofa, but that's fine. We all just squash up on the end. Fairy started off sleeping downstairs on the sofa when she first arrived, but she now sleeps upstairs with me on a bed on the floor next to my bed. But every night before I go to sleep, Fairy gets on the bed with me and has a nice snuggle. So as you can see, Fairy now has an amazing life. I hope you've enjoyed her story. If you've got any questions, just type them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and here are some videos you might like to watch next. I usually try and post 2 or 3 videos a week, mostly on Wednesdays and at weekends. So turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of our videos.